Hi, it's Colin Cowherd. Do you want the best content on the internet? Go watch cats playing on tiny pianos. It's really good. But if you want arguably the second best content, subscribe. I said all off season, Denver is a great roster. They need to upgrade at corner, and they got to stop making mistakes at quarterback. So when I made my prediction, I'm like, I know their talent's good, but I don't know if Patrick Surtain's ready to play. Teddy Bridgewater's new. So Bridgewater has done what he's done his whole career. Figures it out quickly, a lot of completions, no mistakes. But let's start on the defensive side with the rookie from Alabama. Yeah. How many practices, Vaughn, are you watching that young corner? How many does it take for you to go, oh, shit, he gets it. This kid can play.
Since day one. He's the most polished rookie that I've ever seen.
Wow.
He's the most polished rookie that I've ever, and this is on my team, other teams. This could be any rookie that I've ever seen in National Football League. Patrick Surtain is the most polished DB that I've ever seen, like rookie DB that I've ever seen. It's just a little bit more experience, and he's gonna be the top corner in the league in a matter of time. He's gonna get paid $25 million. He's gonna be the next franchise corner. Patrick Surtain, he really has it all. He can run fast. He's tall. He's rangy. He can guard the slot receiver. He can guard your big possession receiver. When the ball is in the air, he turns into a receiver. It's anybody's ball. And these receivers, they don't really fight for the ball like DBs do. And Patrick Surtain is 6'2.5", 200 pounds, and he can run, 4.3. He has all the footwork. He has all the smarts. He is the most polished rookie that I've ever seen in my life, my whole career.
Wow, that's incredible. Speaking of Teddy, somebody told me this years ago that somebody I trust as a source, he said, Teddy's a sponge. He'll figure the playbook out quickly. He's understated. He's not flashy. Guys will respect him. He's not trying to be something he's not. Mm-hmm. So when Drew and Teddy are going through the reps, was there a moment for you, Vaughn, that you just kind of felt like, this is a better fit? This is going to be the right guy?
Drew could easily. I feel like we'll be 3-0 with Drew as well. Drew was ready to go. Drew was ready to play. Drew's made strides, these huge strides since the type of player that he was last year, and he didn't do too bad last year. So Drew was ready to go. I feel like we'll still be undefeated with Drew. The Teddy, he's a veteran. I've played with Peyton Manning, and I played with other quarterbacks. I've been a leader on the defense, for since Peyton left. But the leadership for the team has to come from the quarterback position. It just has to. It has to be the guy on offense, calling the plays, getting all the guys together, holding the reins. It has to come. In football, it has to come from the quarterback position. In basketball, you can have a center, you can have a point guard. They're all different shapes and different sizes. But in football, it has to come from the quarterback. The quarterback is one of the most cerebral positions in all of sports. He leads the guys, he calls the plays, he touches the ball on every single play. It has to come from the quarterback, and Teddy's done a masterful job of that. Teddy, he's been able to, guys just gravitate towards him. He was on the Vikings offense. When it was with the Vikings, he was in the run to be, MVP when he was with the Vikings. And then when he went to the Saints, he sat under Drew Brees. He went to the Carolina Panthers. He didn't have Christian McCaffrey and all the weapons that, he should have had, and he still did a great job with those guys. And now we get him. Now we get him with a full roster full of guys: Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, Albert O, Melvin Gordon. We got Javon Williams. This offensive line is the best offensive line that I've played with since I've been with the Denver Broncos. You got Gary Bowles, Dalton Reisner, Grant Glasgow. Those two guys are nicked up, but we got rookies that stepping in for those. Lloyd Cushenberry, he's played big time SEC football, for 4 years straight. And when you give Teddy a team like that, things like this happen. We played 3 teams that they haven't been winning a lot, but I feel like the way we beat them is the way that good teams should play teams like that. And we got a real test. We got a real test coming this week. We got a playoff team, coming up this week. We're playing a playoff game in September. That's been the vibe around here. The Baltimore Ravens, they're hot. They just beat the Chiefs. Justin Tucker just nailed one to end the game in Detroit. Those guys are on cloud 9 right now. We're going to have a tough time with these guys, and we got to play them. To get where we're going, we got to go to the Baltimore Ravens.
So when you face Lamar, is it a different week in preparation? Are there things that, okay, don't do this, watch this? I mean, obviously, he can make people look really bad on film. Yeah. Is it a different week for you in preparation?
Yeah, it's definitely different. I would be lying if I said it was different. Lamar Jackson, he's just a unique player. He can run the ball, he can throw the ball, he runs 4.3. Any space that he gets, he can take it the distance. And I'm talking 50 yards plus on every single play. He has a strong roster of guys around him. Andrews is one of the better tight ends in the league. If he's not number 3, he's number 2. If he's not number 2, he's number 1. He's up there with those guys. And they got Hollywood Brown and Sammy Watkins and all these other guys that can create separation in the secondary. The offensive line is stable too. Zeitler and Stanley. These guys are household names in their offensive linemen. So they have a really, really strong football team that's led by Lamar Jackson. If you're not fundamentally sound, these guys will tear you up. We watch the film, and it's a highlight tape every time we turn on the film every single week. It's like we're watching a Lamar Jackson highlight tape. So it's not very encouraging when you watch what he does to multiple people. We just have to, trust our game plan and stay solid in our game plan and play to our strengths. I rush the passer. I can't be 10 yards up the field. I create lanes, for Lamar Jackson. It's little things like that you have to, really stay on point. And even when you do that, that's still, that still might not be enough. You just got to get in the game and you got to play solid football. You got to stay on our corrections. And, we're going to get Lamar Jackson. There is not another player in the whole world that plays football like Lamar Jackson. So we got to stay on our P's and Q's, and we got to go out there and play football.
Who would be the second most mobile quarterback? In even your high school or college career, was there another guy that you're like that you could even compare to Lamar Jackson?
I think Robert Griffin in his heyday, RG3. RG3 was, his first and second year in the National Football League, he was crazy, and RG3 and Lamar Jackson, they're miles apart, but RG3, he was fast. He was able to create separation. He was able to throw the ball pretty well. He had a great group of guys around him to throw the ball too. But but other than that, no, not really. Russell Wilson does a really good job of taking the ball, pushing the ball downfield. He's not as fast as Lamar Jackson. He can probably throw the ball. Nobody really throws the ball like, Russell Wilson. He can throw the ball a little bit better, but when it comes to scrambling and running and getting away from guys, nobody does it like Lamar Jackson. He's a unique player. I never played Michael Vick in his prime, but he reminds me of a type of player, 100%. Those are the only two guys that have ever touched this league that, have that type of that ability.
They're probably the only two players that could outrun you if it got to an angle.
Yeah, I got to really play my angles. Guys, you can see on film, even though guys have angles, he still is able to, get away from guys, and he's spinning around DBs and he's pulling away from DBs and all that stuff. So we got to corral this guy. I know it's cliche, but that's just how you got to play football in the National Football League. You got to depend on all the other 10 guys to, get this guy down. You got to kind of gang tackle, and just play to your help 100%.
As we go, the Brady New England game Sunday is obviously a huge game. Everybody's talking about it. I feel bad for Mac Jones. It's like Tom's got a 22-year head start. It's a little unfair. You have faced virtually everybody. You've played with Peyton Manning. You've faced Tom Brady. Now you have this gifted kid in your division, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, wait, you have another gifted kid, Justin Herbert. Vaughn, go back in your career. Take people listening. How long – could you tell instantly with the really great young players you faced, like a Mahomes, could you tell instantly, oh, yeah, that's going to work? Or can you sense fear instantly and go, this kid, he doesn't like the pocket. He doesn't like footsteps. Can you tell right away?
Yeah, 100%. You can tell right away. Patrick Mahomes, he was just fearless. He just got it. He was confident. You face other rookie quarterbacks. They're struggling with their reads. They're scrambling out the pocket. Struggling trying to push the ball downfield. And I think we watch it week in and week out. When you have young guys, struggle. But when I really think about it, young guys with success, Patrick Mahomes is really – there's not been a young guy that had that type of success like Patrick Mahomes. Andrew Luck had, he had a ton of success early on in his career as well. And I think he developed into the quarterback that, everybody knew he could be like later down in his career. But right off the bat, like nobody's like Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson right off the bat, he was athletic. He did wonderful things, but true quarterback, like nobody's done it like, Patrick Mahomes right off the bat. And in my 11-year career, this is my opinion. Lamar Jackson, he does a lot of things well. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball, create separation. He's a once in a lifetime player, just like Patrick Mahomes, but they're two totally different players. It's kind of, it's kind of, you can't compare Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. They're just two elite players. It's kind of like, right. Before you can compare like Peyton and Tom Brady, they're just two traditional quarterbacks. But Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson just has success in so many different ways. And Patrick Mahomes, he's done it. He's played a true quarterback position. He's done it in so many different ways. Throwing the ball left-handed, scrambling out the pocket, super big arm with Tyreek Hill can just run 80 yards underneath it. Like it's, those two guys are two special players. And I've played against Patrick Mahomes, and this will be my first time against Lamar Jackson. So I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be a good one.
Did you, if you didn't know the story of Brady, you just were Von Miller, and here's a quarterback, and you didn't know his history. Did Brady do something special? Maybe it's pre-snap. Did you sense when you played Brady, because to be the greatest ever, it's one thing to be great. It's another to literally have a trophy room in your house. Yeah. Like, what is it about Tom that when you face, it does feel different, Vaughn?
It does. He just has such a handle on what's going on, and what's about to happen. It's kind of like, he can predict what's about to happen from the quarterback position. He can kind of predict where wide receivers are going, what coverages is about to happen, and, once you really learn Tom Brady, he puts so much work in. He has so much preparation, even in the offseason, getting the roster that he builds around him. He gets players that fit his style. Right. He's been able to play with Gronkowski for forever. That connection will always be there. He's got Mike Evans now. He's got Antonio Brown and all these other guys. And, throughout my career, I've been able to, play against Tom Brady, but I've been able to get to know him off the field as well. And there's really no reason to not like Tom Brady other than he wins football games. He does everything right. He's such a role model. He's such a great guy. Like I said, I've got to spend time with him off the field, and it's really not a reason to not like Tom Brady other than he's winning championships. And, that's not a good reason not to like somebody because they're winning. But Tom Brady, he does everything absolutely right.
In basketball, chemistry is really important, Vaughn, because there's 13 guys, about 7 to 8 play. All your meetings are together. All the practices together. Football's different, man. At halftime, sometimes offensive guys go to the left door, defensive guys go to the right door. Special teams guys in practice are in another part of the field. So in basketball, it's understood like chemistry is really important. If you have one bad dude in the locker room, it can blow the team up. Football is different. In your career, does chemistry matter that much? Or can you have cliques in football?
I've always been a team guy. I've always been the guy that, my best friend on the team is Brandon McManus. He's a kicker. It's not like, that's not like, it usually wouldn't happen like that. But for me, I kick it with the undrafted guys. I kick it with the long snapper. I kick it with, Cortland Sutton and, Teddy Bridgewater and all the big time guys on the team. And I kick it with the guys that, just came as well. So for me, I really enjoy like the team element of football. So I have, of course, it's cliques in the locker room. Of course, there's little groups and little locker room sessions. But for me, I gravitate around and I feel like I'm like the glue that brings everybody together. And I feel like if I played like a different position, it probably wouldn't be like that. If I wasn't, the Von that I am, it probably would be different. It'd probably be tough for like Cortland or anybody else to have that same type of relationship with everybody on the team. But for me, this is what I've been doing since Little League football. It's who I was at Texas A&M, and it's who I've been my 11 years in the National Football League. My best friend on the team is Brandon McManus. Usually you don't have the linebacker, the franchise linebacker, and the kicker being best friends. I'm his. He's my son's godfather, and I'm his twins' godfather as well. So it's just one of those things that really highlights the type of person that I am. I'm such a social guy, especially in the locker room. Where in the locker room we get to do things and we get to talk about stuff and we get to hang out. And we get to do things that people would never, ever see. Like, people would never have these type of relationships that we have in the locker room. I don't care if you're on a basketball team, soccer team. Like, football is just different. And I'm one of the guys that really just gravitate around everybody. I'm a glue guy. I bring everybody together, whether you're offensive lineman or defensive lineman, long snapper. I have multiple events outside of football to bring everybody together. I spend multiple time with everybody. I know everybody's children. I know everybody's mom and dad. I know where everybody's from. And I feel like those are the type of things that help us win games on football. And that's the type of work that I'm willing to do if nobody else is willing to do it. And I'm sure we have other guys that do it as well, but that's what I've always done. And that's one of my highlights as a person, for sure.
It's funny. Aqib Talib's a friend of mine. And Aqib, I asked him one time, because he loved playing in Denver, no-fly zone. And he said he was a social guy. And he talked about how social the no-fly zone. That was the word he used, like you. He's like, we were just a social team. And Aqib's like, he's like you. He's a talker. He's just verbal. He just wants to talk to dudes. Now you guys could be totally different. But it is funny. You have to, when a defense has a nickname, it's damn good, because there's not many nicknames on defense. 100%. When you were part of the no-fly zone, do you remember thinking, because this defense has a chance to be really special now that you have Fuller and Patrick Surtain at corner. When you were on the field, did you feel like, Vaughn, that's one of the top 5 defenses maybe ever, that you control the game? The defense controlled the game. Could you sense it? Could you sense offenses were frustrated? Like, take me to the best year the best defensive year you ever played and what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, that had to be 2015 with the Denver Broncos and no-fly zone as well. And we just had all the different elements to have a dominant defense. You have to have that swag to be a dominant defense. You have to have that confidence. That was a no-fly zone. It keeps the lead. Or if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Or he's going to die trying to do it. Then you mix Aqib Talib with Chris Harris. Chris Harris is a verbal guy as well. And then you have the two slobber knockers with Dorian Stewart and T.J. Ward. So we can back up everything that we're talking. And then we got the rush with me and DeMarcus and Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson. And then we had guys off the ball. We had linebackers that could cover, had linebackers that can blitz with Brandon Marshall, Todd Davis, Danny Trevathan. These guys, they could do anything that you could ask them to do linebacker-wise. And we just had all the elements. We had a smart play caller. We had a experienced play caller as well with Coach Phillips. Coach Kubiak was one of the coaches that no other coach could coach that team like Coach Kubiak did. He just was a great – he was able to relate to everybody on that team. He was able to talk and get the most out of everybody on that team. And this team had Peyton Manning, Aqib Talib, myself. We had Danny Trevathan. We had people from all different walks of life. And Coach Kubiak was the guy that really managed everybody and had everybody on the same page. But back to that defense, Aqib Talib was definitely the confidence of that team.
Really?
He was definitely the confidence of that team. He would say whatever in the media, say whatever out in public, and we were like the guys like, yeah, Aqib Talib said it, and we'll go out there and do it, and we did. I remember playing. I remember 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, and Aqib, it was our first time watching film on the Carolina Panthers, and Aqib was like, yeah, we got this. It's over. We're gonna lock down the receivers. They ain't got nothing for us. We're gonna lock down the receivers, and it just started one day, and it just created this confidence. Like, yeah, they undefeated, but Aqib said that they gonna lock down the corners, and all we got to do is rush. And if all I had to do is rush, then I feel pretty good, and my chances to rush. Like Aqib Talib was saying in the public, in the locker room, whatever, that we gonna lock down their receivers. That was a huge element of the game that was already taken out of the game plan. We were just super stacked. We had the confidence, we had the swag, we had the intelligence, we had the experience. We had everything that it took to be a dominant defense for sure.
Vaughn, you're probably one of these guys physically. There are guys that have a DNA. They're just relentless. Like I watch Aaron Donald, and he's the only defensive lineman I've ever seen. He doesn't take a play off. Like a lot of times those guys are carrying 325 pounds. They'll take plays off. Like I watch Aaron Donald. You've got this component. Randy Moss had some of this. You're like, that dude is different.
See, Aaron Donald really not like a D tackle. He's really like an oversized running back. He's athletic enough. He's really like an oversized running back, and he's super strong. And when you put his athletic ability and his strength and his leverage that he has, because one of his knocks when he's coming out is he was small, but that as time came over, it plays into the type of game that he plays. He has so much leverage. He has so much speed. He has so much explosive, ability. And he's really like a running back in there with playing against these guards and these centers. So it's unfair for those guys.
Well,
it really is.
One time, Ray Lewis told me that Willie Rofe of Kansas City, he was like, Colin, you can't even, it's country strong. Like I couldn't even, and Ray Lewis, one of the great players. Has there ever been one offensive lineman that, Vaughn, you're just like, okay, that's genetics. Like I can't move him?
The offensive lineman that I go, so all the big time offensive linemen, like, the Tyron Smiths, the Lane Johnsons, the Williams, it's, going against those guys, you preparing for these guys all year. For me, I think the toughest challenge for me was Mitchell Schwartz, and you wouldn't expect it.
Really?
You wouldn't expect it. And I think Mitchell Schwartz having a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes that can really play to, Mitchell's angles. I had the toughest time with Mitchell Schwartz. I'm really surprised that he's not on the team right now because I always had the toughest time with Mitchell Schwartz. I think he's the one offensive lineman that only gave me one sack and out of all the years that we played, it's only been one sack. And it's surprising to me that Mitchell Schwartz is not on a team, somewhere because it would always be so tough to play Mitchell Schwartz and then the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes and everybody else. If it was just,
was it the hands? Was it hands? Was it leverage?
I don't know what it was. He was a smaller offensive lineman.
Yes,
he was a smaller offensive lineman, but he just, I don't know. Maybe I was in my own head, but I always had the toughest time with Mitchell Schwartz, and I would see other guys have success versus Mitchell Schwartz, but whenever I went against him, it would be the weirdest thing for me. Like any move that I would try, he would be sitting on it. And any good rush that I would have, Patrick Mahomes would, he would trump that and, scramble, throw the ball away. But playing against Mitchell Schwartz and the Kansas City Chiefs was always a tough, time for me. I don't know what it was, and it's shocking to me that Mitchell Schwartz is not on the team right now because I know he still has some good football left.
Vaughn, we took some time. We appreciate it. You were great. Kick butt this weekend against the Ravens, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Colin. I appreciate you.